Hi, I'm April.
And I'm Bayleigh.
We are real-life friends and neighbors.
Together we run a business called Wynnes Designs.
Our favorite part of our job is being in people's homes and hearing their stories. As we became inspired by these stories, we wanted to share them with others. That's where the Nestled podcast was born.
So join us each week as we are encouraged to pursue our own design decisions based on what we love instead of what fills our Instagram feed. Every home has a story, and we can't wait to hear yours. Hey guys, welcome back.
Hey, we're so glad to have you with us today. It's been an exciting week.
Yeah, we both had some unwanted visitors this week.
Unexpected.
I'll tell about mine first. And I share this just to say, I know that we talk a lot about like trying to be good neighbors, and I just want to be very frank whenever I tell you that neither of my next door neighbors like us. They don't.
We don't always win them over.
So just because you try does not mean people will always be receptive.
Right.
Or that you're not going to mess up. So we wake up Saturday morning, and my husband has thrown his back out.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's already injured. And he wakes up, and he looks outside, and he says, there's a weird van in front of our house. So then he proceeds to go out and come and look at it, walk around it, come back in, and he's like, it's a very weird van outside of our house.
There's a lot going on out there.
Yes, it had like a strange sheet covering the steering wheel as if someone had moved in front of our house and was not planning to leave. It had pentagrams. Is it a pentagram?
Yes.
Yes. In a number of places, but a real big one right on the front. And we're like, what in the world? There's just weird stuff on this
Right.
thing. So he's uncomfortable enough that he calls the cops because he's like, look, crazy Wiccan crazy is next level, and we're not dealing with that.
Right.
So the cops come, and they're like, there's nothing that we can do about it for 10 days. We'll put a notice on it, and we'll call in the license plate and see if we can figure out who it's registered to and contact them directly. So we're like, okay, we feel fine about that. Next thing I know, there's more cops, and I'm like, who did they call this in and figure out who it is? This just escalated. So I was supposed to go to Bible study. I text April. I'm like, I can't go.
Things are going down.
There's a lot going on outside of my house right now. Anyway, long story short, the cops leave, and we see a guy walking almost instantly out of nowhere, it seemed, dressed in all white. He had on like painter's overalls, all white, head to toe, brushing his teeth. And he goes and gets the notice off the front of the van, and we're like, did he just come from our backyard? Like, where did he just go
Was
from?
he under the house?
We're like, clearly he was watching us with the cops, and as soon as they left, he came out. And so then we watch him walk back. I'm like, Justin, he just walked into the neighbor's house? And we had called the cops on the guests of the neighbors, the next door neighbors that already don't like us.
Yeah.
So
It didn't help the relationship.
it did not help the relationship. We were going to try in the next couple of weeks to invite them over for dinner, and now we're thinking that's going to be a hard pass on their part.
Maybe
So,
there needs to be a little time
yeah, we're going to let that one
and
settle
allow
a little bit.
things to settle down a little bit.
But also, the moral of the story is if you drive around in a van covered in pentagrams and you're going to dress in all white, and there's someone with him who, when they finally left, was also in all white. If you're going to look like you're in a crazy cult, don't park in front of somebody's house.
Right.
Maybe park in front of the house of the person you're staying with.
Or across the street where there's
Two vacant
houses.
Which
Park
is
there.
also what Justin said.
Sleep under their house.
Also, just a side note, if someone's staying at my house and I see that like the neighbors have called the cops on their car, I'm going to run out and be like, hey, sorry, they're with us.
Right.
We'll get them to move the car.
Yep.
So
That's not what
anyway,
happened.
That's not what happened. Real tits on
Yeah.
my end of the street. So tell us about your visitors.
So yesterday is teacher work day, and all of the kids are at home, and they're already like bummed out. I'm making them clean on teacher work day. And our dog is going crazy in the backyard. So the kids are out there playing, and he feels like anything that comes in our yard is an intruder, and he must protect us.
Right.
And so they're all in a panic because there's a cat back there who had kittens in our backyard. And
Real kittens.
real, like,
Just
brand
had them.
new kittens. Still umbilical cord kittens.
Ugh.
Little tiny. Well, between the dog and the kids and everything, the mom left. She was not going to come back because of all of those things, and we couldn't leave them out there because there's a giant owl. It's like we live
In
the forest.
I know.
And we are in the middle of the city.
I know.
But there's a giant owl that lives in our backyard. Also a family of raccoons.
The biggest raccoons I've ever seen.
The biggest raccoons I've ever seen. And also there are so many other stray cats. And cats will like take other cats' kittens. It's like a thing.
Right.
And so we're like researching it. The kids are asking if they can keep them. I'm like, no. I finally let them rescue the kittens out of the backyard, and we were up all night with newborn baby kittens last night that we were bottle feeding and keeping warm because they can't maintain their own body heat yet.
Because they're that little.
Because they're that young. And no one wants kittens that have to be fed all through the night. So I don't know what the plan is. I've been sending emails this morning to Project Purr. I was so desperate, I asked a girl in Fusaklis that looked like she might like cats.
Oh, no.
What she thought I should do. Anyway, haven't heard back yet. And they're like, you can't take them to the pound. They're going to kill them.
Oh.
But after last night, I made the big kids stay in the living room. So I thought that by making the big kids stay up and take care of the cats, that they would be like, get rid of the cats. And also I thought it was a good lesson on you don't want to be parents yet.
Right.
Like, this is like a baby. You have to wake up and feed them all through the night.
That sounds like my night.
So, right. But at 4:00, Lydia had not been to sleep yet, and I felt really sad for her, so I took over kitten duty because Elijah just slept through it just like a man.
Just like a daddy.
I love my husband, but anyway, so I let
Oh.
Lydia stay home from school today, and her excuse tomorrow is going to say we were rescuing kittens from the backyard. I don't know what else to say. Anyway, if anyone wants 2 kittens, we would be glad for you to take them off of our hands.
We will give you the address of our homes if it means you'll come take the kittens. Today, we're going to be talking with Wynne Elder, and she describes herself as a haven maker, which may be my favorite adjective I've heard someone use to describe themselves.
Yes.
I love that. We're going to be talking to her about her family's purpose statement, and we hope that a lot of you take these tips that she's going to give and use them in your own homes, whether you're single, you live with a roommate, you're newlywed, you're a mother, whatever. We think that everyone's home could benefit from this.
Right, and that we all kind of take that in and like sit down and think about what do we want our homes to be about and what do we want them to look like and have a real purpose behind what we do.
So we're excited about hearing from her. Here's Wynne.
Hey, Wynne, we're so glad you're here with us today. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and your family for our listeners who don't know you yet?
Sure. My name is Wynne Elder, and I am a wife to my college sweetheart. We've been married for 11 years, and we actually just moved back to his college town a couple years ago. So we're back where it all began. And we have 3 kiddos. Our oldest 2 were adopted from Ethiopia when they were 7 and 8 months old. So they're not biologically related, but they're basically twins. They're 3.5 weeks apart. And they're in kindergarten. They're 6, Camp and Asher. And then we have a baby, Rivers Glory, and she is 13 months. And she was a little miracle after 7 years of infertility.
Wow.
So we're just living in Texas, and I work from home and just living our best life.
Okay, so you have to tell us what college, because Texas is such a football town, so we got to know what team you root for.
Well, my husband is an Aggie.
Okay.
So Texas A&M. We live in Bryan College Station. We live about a mile from the stadium, but I went to Baylor.
Okay. Wow.
So we were like longtime rivals.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually glad when they moved to the SEC, because now I can root team and he could root for my team, and there's no like house divided tension anymore.
Yes.
Right.
Because it was like a real thing, because I'm a big football fan too.
Yeah.
So I like wouldn't sit with him during games when we played each other. And
my husband and I went to Auburn, and we went a few years ago whenever Auburn played Texas A&M the first time when they joined the SEC, and we loved it. It's a really fun town.
We would love you to give us a rundown of your style. We have some really cool pictures of your house, and we love your style, and we're going to share those with our followers. But how would you describe your style?
okay, so we live in a 1941, I call it Farm 41. It wasn't really a farmhouse, but it sort of looks like a farmhouse. It's ranch style. I love white, and then I love bright colors. So I love mixing patterns. Like, I think like the way I dress and the way I design my home are similar.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess like the way I dress is sort of like boho-ish. Like, I like layers, and I like, yeah, just like the mixing of patterns. I'm not afraid to paint a room a random color. I'm not afraid to like change out I'm looking at my house right now, change out all my things that are like crazy colors. And I'm not afraid to washi tape stuff to the wall. So like, I don't know if washi taping things to the wall is a style, but if it were,
Yeah, I feel you.
Washi boho.
Washi boho.
washi boho. I'm like, babe, we can't ever move into a new house because I wouldn't be able to like washi tape things to the wall. Like, that just doesn't work like that. Like, I need my old house. I just love like the charm of an old house. Like, I grew up, my parents would, flip houses, like old houses. They'd renovate them. We'd live in them for a few years, and then we moved. We lived in 4 houses in the same neighborhood. And so, I don't know, it's just like in me. I just love an old house and giving it new life.
Yeah. Yeah. I know we were talking a little bit earlier about how our styles are very similar, and the house we live in was built in 1947. So kind of the same, the same era.
It's so cool.
And I never want to leave this neighborhood. We will just keep flipping houses in this neighborhood if we ever move, but I'd be fine staying in this little house forever.
Yeah.
Okay, so on looking at your Instagram, one thing that we found that we were really interested in was your family purpose statement. Could you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I had my neighbor hand letter it, and I framed it and gave it to Steven for a gift sometime last year. So 2 summers ago, we were on our like family Colorado trip that we go on every year, up to Steven's family's cabin. We just sort of unplug, and it's just like a great chance to sort of like reset before we go into a crazy fall again. And 2 years ago on that trip, we're like, we should write a family purpose statement, like something that when we look at it, when we're trying to make decisions, or we're trying to make decisions for our family, for our time, for our calendar, like something we could look at and be like, does this check off these boxes?
Right.
So I actually did a lot of research, and I'm trying to remember who I heard it from first. I think I listened to a couple podcasts about it, read lots of blog posts about it. And then we just spent a lot of time coming up with it. And we were even last night like, man, we don't look at it and reference it as much as we need to. I think it's just going to be like a process. But just to say like, this is what we're about. Like, this is what we want to be. And I think like so much of just our day-to-day is not necessarily like the things we do, the tasks that we accomplish, but who we're becoming. And I love that Bob Goff always talks about that, like to love someone for who they're becoming and not just who they are. And so like, this is sort of our list of who we want to become as a family. So we wanted to do like short statements so it would be easy to remember.
Yeah, I'm happy that you said that, because that's something that we always try and encourage people is don't freak out because you want to be a certain way or you're home to welcome people in a certain way and you're not doing it yet. Like, you don't have to start doing everything at once, but you can set a goal and then try and work your way there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's something that the business world does, and every business has a mission statement. You know, every church has a mission statement, and I don't know why that doesn't often trickle down to our families, that we go, okay, well, we need a filter to run things through for us to say, like, these are the things we want to be about. This is what we want our family to look like. And so it will help to say the right yeses and the right nos. And also something to come back to kind of rein it in and be like, we are not accomplishing what we want to accomplish. And of all of the things in our life, I mean, what's more important than our families to put really think through and put our investment of, okay, we want to be really purposeful with this.
Okay, so do you want to kind of walk us through y'all's purpose statement and maybe just kind of why you chose to put that on there and how you're living that out?
Yeah, I'll just read them all.
Okay,
so they're author fun, live curious, dream wildly, seek adventure, cultivate generosity, invite authenticity, pursue people, and practice his presence. And so I think we took a lot of like my husband and I, like who we are individually, who we are as a couple, and what we want to cultivate in our kids. And so like, we're all about fun. Like, we want to have fun. If it's not fun, like, we don't want to do it. And so we want that to be a staple in our family. Like, we want to author fun. We want to write fun into our story. we want to be curious always and always be learning and always be growing. We're big dreamers. And so we want our kids, like, you know, it's that thing we tell our kids, like, you can be whoever you want to be. Like, what do you want to be? But not just like a silly childhood thing that we say, but like really mean it and really dream wildly, like dream big dreams. Seek adventure. We are adventurers.
Yeah.
We love to go on adventures. I mean, you know, like, you don't call a family vacation with little kids a vacation. Like, it's an adventure.
Yes.
So whether that's like we're going to Colorado in the summer, or we're driving down the road 30 minutes to this wildlife safari place, or whatever, like, just making the big things and the little things in our world and in our home fun and adventurous. And I guess the other ones are more serious, but cultivating generosity. Like, we want to be known for what we give. We want to add value. We want to give of our time, of our resources. We want that to rub off on our kids. We want them to be generous, and that starts with us being generous.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think authenticity is a big thing in my world, and it has been. I mean, like, we're talking about adoption. Like, that's when I started really sharing our story and our life on the internet, was when we adopted, because I didn't know anybody who had adopted, and I was in this new world, and that's how I connected with people. And then it just sort of has gone on from there with all the things that we've walked through as a family. And but yeah, just like inviting that authentic living into our world and our home, and that sort of goes hand in hand with pursuing people. We want to be about people over tasks and pursuing people. I mean, it's a struggle. Like, every day I choose to, like, do I sit down and like get my tasks done, or do I choose to be interrupted by this college student that I mentor every week, or by the person that just randomly stops by my house, or the friend who really needs to have a conversation. Those are hard. It's hard, but we want to be about pursuing people and loving people, and then practicing his presence as just, you know, as believers, that's when he does his best work, when we're with God and we spend time with them and worshiping and all those things. And so that's just a daily something that I hope to do the rest of my life, and to instill in my kids, and a prayer that we pray over them every day, that they would just, you know, be captivated by God's love and know him.
Well, and that fuels everything else. It gives purpose to everything, and it gives us a love for people, and it gives us this desire to be authentic, and because we know that we're loved, because he loves us before we even could love him. And so it really does like change everything.
I can see how this would also be really useful in just staying on the same page, because I know, even for example, I'm looking at your pursue people and how you said people over things. I know last week April and I had a date where it was like the one afternoon, like we had worked that morning, and we had one afternoon that we were like, we have to get our houses in order for the sake of our husbands and our marriages. Like, we have to, it was, you know,
and
the
clean
day
underwear.
Yeah, like, we have to do our laundry, we have to clean our house. And as soon as we were finishing up with our work, we had a friend text us who asked, could we meet for lunch? And we looked at each other, and we were both like, we can't do it. And then we looked at each other again, and we're like, this is not a needy friend. If she's asking to meet for lunch, we need to go meet for lunch. And in doing that, I said, Justin's going to understand.
Absolutely.
And she said, Lance will too. But it's because I know that we're on the same page that I was able to say, my husband's not going to come home mad at me that the house is still messy whenever I say, we met with this person. You know what I mean? That's just like an unsaid thing in our house. But to have something on the wall that's like, this is what we're about. It's like, I ran it through my list. And it's up there.
It's on the list, so I could do it.
So what are some ways that you feel like you're able to invite authenticity?
Yeah, I joke. I had a neighbor stop by my house when we first moved in, a couple months after we first moved in. I never met her before. She just showed up on my door. And I didn't have a bra on, and I hadn't brushed my teeth, and my house is a wreck. And I'm like, come on in. Like, I want to get to know you. And I was telling her, I was like, honestly, if my house would have been put together and perfect when you stopped by, I would have felt even more uncomfortable than I did when I was a total mess. And I feel like that has to say something. Okay, I don't want to act like I have it all together. I don't know, a story that I love to tell, and I was thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, I hope this comes up somehow because I love this story so much, and I feel like it goes a lot with y'all's mission and purpose. But when we first moved here too, I had a friend that we were acquaintances, like we'd met before, but we didn't really know each other. She invited us over for dinner. We just had our 2 kids at the time. She had 3, and it was in the middle of the week. And she called me that day, and she's like, hey, I still want y'all to come over, but I'm running, back from out of town from a doctor's appointment for my son, and we're probably going to order pizza, and we're probably going to eat on paper plates. Like, bring a bottle of wine, just like come as you are. And I was like, okay. And we got there, and I will never forget that. Just if I would have gone in to a new friend's home in our new town and everything would have been perfect, and we've been eating on like nice plates and her house was perfectly picked up, I would not have felt comfortable. But she just welcomed us in to her disaster, and the kids had a blast. And I just feel like those kind of things speak so much more to me than having everything perfect in the house, perfect before you have people in.
Yeah.
And so I just don't want to have that excuse to invite people into my home and into my life.
Well, and we put that on ourselves because we want everything to be perfect because we don't, it's like, I don't expect that from other people, but like I want to present that. And yet at the same time, it's like giving this unrealistic standard to other people where they come in and they're like, every time I go over there, it's so clean and everything is so great and wonderful and perfectly put together that I feel intimidated that I can't have them into my home or I can't do that.
Right.
And so through the years, the thing that has broken down more walls with other ladies to me than anything else is whenever I have invited them into my mess and just been like, look, I'm sorry. Push those clothes out of the way so you have somewhere to sit on the couch. But come in and this is what I have to offer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you ever drop by my house, it's probably not going to look perfect. And I also, whenever you said that, Wynne, I thought, I hope that my small group feels that way because they get invited into my mess every single week. It's never perfect.
Yeah.
Ever.
No.
And so.
Yeah. We host community group over at a house we have for years. And we hosted when we had no furniture in entire rooms and we had folding chairs or we put out quilts or like nobody cared. Like they just wanted to be together. Like I am not a cook. I don't like to cook. That overwhelms me. I love to have people over, but like the food part is super intimidating. So I've just had to get over it and be like, we're just gonna have pizza or we're just gonna do potluck or I'm gonna get a Chick-fil-A tray or something because I can't let that stop me from having people over.
Yes. When we let those things go, it's just incredible how much relationships can grow and how much we can just be authentic, and be real with one another.
We talk a lot about pursuing people. Can you give some examples of how you pursue people?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a growing thing, and I don't think anybody does it perfectly, and I for sure don't do it perfectly. But I think it could be anything from choosing to, I have a college girl that has been in my life for about 2 years, and we get together every Monday morning and we talk about our stuff and we pray, and it could look in big ways like that, or it could look in little ways, like just texting a friend, like, hey, I'm thinking about you today. I just want you to know I appreciate you. I love to send people like little things in the mail. I love to send people podcasts or sermons or worship songs or just like a little like, hey, I'm thinking about you and I love you, because it might not look in your season like having people over all the time. Most of my closest friends do not live in my town. And so a lot of our pursuing each other looks like talking on Voxer or on Marco Polo. Yesterday, it looked like driving 100 miles to be with one of my best friends who had her baby, And so I think it's just like I think what I've learned in pursuing friendships is like, you just have to show up. And whatever ways that look like. I love the love languages, the 5 love languages, and like figuring out what ways, like gifts is not it's actually my number 5, like receiving love, like getting gifts. But a lot of my people, that's like their number 1 way they receive love. And so learning to be a better gift giver for those people, or,
Yeah. And
whatever.
It has proven to never be convenient to pursue people.
No.
And it is never like spelled out for you. You just have to do it. You have to, like you said, you just have to show up. And sometimes you have to say the wrong thing, but you have to just like say something, and you have to be there, and you have to push aside that it's going to interrupt whatever your plans are.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We have a friend who's going through some hard stuff, and that's what April always, whenever I say, I don't know what to say back to this, she always says, just say something. If it's the wrong thing, at least you tried, you know. And I think that's such good advice across the board.
Yeah. I don't know what to say right now, but I love you and I'm here for you. Like, just being somebody that they can talk to and just to listen is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And people crave that more than we realize oftentimes, I think. And we talk a lot about like how we love to be known, and other people want that too.
Yeah.
You know, and so I just trying to be intentional with that makes all the difference, I think.
This quote that I heard a few months ago is like stuck in my head so much, and I think it goes with the pursuing people. It says, be the kind of person who walks in the room and doesn't say, here I am, but says, there you are.
Yeah, I love that.
I love that. Like, it like makes me teary every time I say it, because if you really practice that, if you're like intentional, like, okay, you're going to church, you're going to a girls thing or whatever, instead of being like, who's talking to me, or who wants to be pursuing me, or who wants to hear my story, like just genuinely pursuing and talking to other people and wanting to know them, like, it's going to return to you. Like, if you feel discouraged, encourage somebody else.
Right.
And you will feel encouraged from encouraging them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We interviewed early on Nan Jemison, and it was one of several people's favorite episodes. She's, I would say, one of like the couple mentors in my life. And Nan told me when my kids were really little, and she had teenagers at the time, and I had like little toddlers and babies, you know, and she was talking to me about parenting, and I would always ask her questions. And she said, the one thing I still to this day, with hard times with teenagers and all of that I try to do is, as soon as they walk in the room, I want my face to light up every single time I see them. And she said, whenever I catch a glimpse of them across the high school gym, like, my face lights up. It like makes me teary just thinking about it, because she said, if nothing else, I can always give them that I'm so glad to see you. And I just, and that you're mine, and I'm proud of you. It doesn't matter what's going on. And I think we can give that to so many people. Just this genuine, like, I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad to be with you. So
yes, that's so good. I don't remember that. Love that.
Yeah, she's a wealth of knowledge. She's,
good. I'll have to go back and listen.
Yeah, she read a poem at the end, and we were like, well, all right.
I was like 6 weeks postpartum.
We're just going to finish out with that.
Okay, when something that we do every week when we remember is play Love It or Leave It. And so we're going to do that real quick, and you can just, we're going to go down the list, and you can say love it or leave it, and you can expound on it if you want to, or you can just leave it simple. So, and these are kind of all over the place. So the first one, in the spirit of April's house guest this week, cat.
Well, I have a cat, but I would like her to leave my house. So what does that mean?
Leave it.
I grew up with cats, and I love cats. And then I've had the same, she's staring at me right now. I've had the same cat since college, and she like won't die. I'm like, come on now, Bagby. No, I'm just more of a dog person now. So yeah, I guess I'm going to say leave it.
Leave it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one. We love color, and we love that you love color. How do you feel about colored cabinets?
Like in a kitchen.
In a kitchen. Painted cabinets.
Ooh. Oh. Yeah, that's a hard one. I'm trying to like think of a color. Like what? Like, I think I love it. I mean, I haven't done it, but I think I love it. Like when I see it on design shows and stuff.
Like mine is navy, which to me navy is like a neutral. Compared to my other colors in my house, I feel like navy's like neutral almost, but it's colored.
Yeah.
But you can say leave it and it won't hurt my feelings.
No, I think I love it. Mine are just like boring white, but I think I love it.
Okay, doing activities with your kids that make a mess.
Leave it outside.
Oh, there you go. That's a good rule.
That's a great rule.
I like to be messy outside, but yeah, not inside.
There you go.
How do you feel about sectional sofas?
Oh, I love it. I have one. I do. I've never had one in my whole life. But it's awesome with our big family. Love it.
Okay. What about the TV show This Is Us?
Oh, love it. Who doesn't love it?
Well, we think that everyone should love it, so
Yeah.
They should.
we
They
felt it
definitely
should be brought up for sure.
On a
Yes.
side note, I know that your family, y'all have done a transracial adoption. Do you think that they've done a good job kind of presenting that?
Yeah. I mean, it makes me cry like every single week. I think it's so relatable. And
Yes.
I agree. It brings us a lot of relief that like people are seeing some different sides of adoption that I think have not been in mainstream media. So love it over here too.
I love it.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, Wynne. So, where do you love to shop?
Oh, yes. Okay. So, like for anything, like furniture, design stuff.
Yeah, just anything in your house.
Okay, so I was wandering around my house yesterday looking at all my things. I like a lot of my stuff is from friends who are really creative who just make me things. Like I have a lot of like hand lettered stuff in my house that people make, or like hand painted stuff that friends of mine do. Like I love to support any kind of small business or local business. I am obsessed with going to Round Top, Texas. Have you heard of like Antique Week?
I've heard of it. Yeah, I think another guest actually asked us the same thing. We've never been. We might need to make that a trip.
It actually starts this week. It's like an hour from me, and so I will go for like a day while my kids are at school and come back. But it's just all these fun vintage finds, and I'm all about like just finding unique pieces. Like I don't want anything to match. I don't want things that everybody has. I love House of Belonging is one of my favorites for all my big signs. Lindsay Letters. One that I love. I like words. So my house has like words or art that people have made pretty much all over the place.
Okay, and where can our listeners find you on the internet?
Yes, pretty much my name on everything. Wynne Elder. It's WynneElder.com, and then I'm Wynne Elder on Instagram and on Facebook. Just WYNNEELDER.
Thank you, Wynne, so much for talking with us.
Yes, it's so great to meet you.
I know, y'all too.
We want to say thank you again to Wynne. We love getting to talk with her. It's always nice to kind of feel like you meet someone who's a kindred spirit. So we really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and we want to encourage you guys, as always, to do something with what you hear. We don't want to just sit and listen, but to push one another to action. And so we want to encourage you, and we're going to do the same thing, to sit down and write out a purpose statement. It doesn't have to be a long list. It doesn't have to be like what you heard Wynne say, but just something that says, this is what I want my life and my home to be about. And whether you're a single person, whether you are a widow, whether you have a big family, wherever you are in your life, I think that we all could benefit from just deciding this is what we want our home to be about. And so we encourage you to do that this week.
Absolutely. Also, at the beginning, we did not tell you guys what we're thankful for this week. And we are thankful this week for our friend Jenny, who on Instagram shared on a post where people asked, what podcast are you loving right now? And so if you guys see those posts, we actually got a lot of new listeners this past week from Jenny sharing just that one comment that she's listening to us. So thank you, Jenny. And if you guys could do that as well, if you enjoy what you hear, we would really appreciate it because it's a good way for people to find us.
Right. And as always, another way for people to find us is by you liking and reviewing and giving us a rating on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts, and also following us on Instagram at Nestled Podcast, and our website is poshnestdesigns.com. Thanks again for listening. We can't wait to be back with you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.